Hello and welcome to a new episode of Geek Lunch Me. I'm your host Chris as usual. Now we're heading towards the end of June. That can mean only one thing. After so many years and what a year's delay we had as well, we're finally getting Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So to celebrate, I thought I would do a series of videos this week celebrating all things Indy, and then have I go and see the film. I think there's a preview of it next Wednesday, so hopefully I'll get a review up after that. But yeah, I'll put up some videos looking at all things Indiana Jones. I thought we'd start off by taking a look at all the books I've got in my collection to do with Indy. Don't forget, if you like the video, hit the thumbs up, helps us out a great deal, gets the video seen by more people. And if you've not already subscribed, why not mash that subscribe button like your very life depends on it, like a giant boulder is rolling after you. We would love to have you as a subscriber. So with no delay, let's don our fedoras, crack our whips, and get stuck into the books of Indy. Now, so we'll start obviously at the beginning. So first of all, we've got the novelisation of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, I must admit, for years, I thought this cover was taken from the concept art by comics legend Jim Steranko. But looking at it now, I don't think it is. I'm not quite sure who the cover artist is. But the novel is by Campbell Black, adapted from the screenplay by Lawrence Kasdan. And it's good because it's got a lot of stuff not included in the film. There's a scene where Belloc is invited to a meeting with Hitler. We see how they got the measurements for the staff of Ra off of the medallion that's been burned into Tote's hand, and we get some extra stuff where Indy's clinging to the top of the submarine near the end of the film. I think he then actually sort of you see him sort of actually escape down into the submarine, so he's not clinging onto the whole top the whole way as the sort of film suggests. So yeah, there's lots of different bits and pieces in the book that expand on the actual film, which is great. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any photographs in the middle, like a lot of these novelizations for the 70s and 80s do, which is a shame because I do like those. I remember as a kid always looking at them, obviously before years and years before the internet, back in the old days. And there was the only way that you could sort of get any images of the film. So on that note, moving on to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So this is my original copy from 1984, so it's a bit battered. And this one does have lots of photographs in the middle, which I remember, say, looking through as a kid. This one's written by James Caan, who he used to write a lot of the film and novelizations back in the 80s. And again, this has got expanded scenes. We get a lot of background to Short Round's character, which is really nice. And we get some additional stuff where they're captured in the Temple of Doom. Willie runs off and escapes and makes it back to the palace. But then obviously they give the blood of Kali to Indy and turn him into a bad guy. And then he helps. She thinks he's going to help her, but obviously he's on their side. So yes, again, there's a nice little extra scenes in this one. And to be honest, Temple of Doom is my favourite of the Indy films. I know that technically Raiders is a better film. It's probably the greatest adventure movie ever made. But there's just something about Temple of Doom. I think probably obviously where it came out when I was about 9 or 10 years old. So yeah, I've got a lot of affection for that film. Absolutely love it. One of my favourites. Also from Temple of Doom, they did this book at the time as well, which is basically a sort of cut down version for kids with absolutely loads of photographs in there as well. Just tells the story. Yeah, nice sort of fun read, and so absolutely packed with loads of photos in that one. So like that one as well. Last Crusade we move on to. This one was written by Rob McGregor, who did some more books we'll come on to in a minute. Yeah, more of a sort of straightforward adaptation. There are a few little bits and pieces. Again, this is does have all the photos, sort of photos in the middle as well, which is great. Yeah. Last Crusade, absolutely love it as well. The dynamic between Harrison Ford and Sean Connery is absolutely great. Really works well, and it was a truly fitting swan song to the end of the trilogy, as we thought that was probably all we were going to get. Now there is a novelisation of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I know a lot of people out there not so keen on the film. It's certainly not on par with the other three. It's got some good moments, some good action scenes in it. There's a lot as well, though, that's not too great. Now, I must admit, I could have sworn I had the novel, but for the life of me, I cannot find it anywhere. So either it shows I've got far too much stuff and it's hidden somewhere, or I'm getting older, my memory's gone, and maybe I didn't actually have it. But looking on the internet, it appears it was a hardcover in the US and was released in paperback here in the UK. And I'm sure I had a hardcover of it, but I can't find it. So yeah, hands up. I don't know where that is. So yeah, you can pick it up on eBay for about £3. So yeah, if I can't find it, I may have to buy a new copy or my first copy, depending on whether I had it or not. That I simply can't remember.
It's not the years, it's the mileage.
Now we move on to a bunch of original novels, which were only published in America. I don't believe they were published here in the UK. I had to get them through sort of specialty comic shops at the time. So yeah, between February and 91 and November 99, we got all of these paperbacks here, and most of them follow a younger Indy before the events of Temple of Doom, which obviously, don't forget, is a prequel to Raiders, and then there are some towards the end which then sort of closer in time to Raiders. They're a bit sort of darker in tone. Rob McGregor wrote the majority of them. He wrote the Last Crusade novelisation. A lot of the books are based on sort of real life legends and artifacts, similar obviously to the Ark of the Covenant. And the best thing about these is they've all got Drew Struzan illustrated covers. Drew, as you know, one of the greatest movie poster artists of all time, did most of the Indiana Jones films, and yeah, he did brand new covers for all of these, which makes them, say, well worth collecting. If you're in the UK here, you might have to pay a bit more, obviously, to get them online, because I don't think they were ever published here. We've got Unicorn's Legacy, The Seven Veils, Indiana Jones and the Interior World, Indiana Jones and the Peril at Delphi, Indiana Jones and the Genesis Deluge, Indiana Jones and the Sky Pirates, Indiana Jones and the White Witch, Secret of the Sphinx, Indiana Jones and the Dinosaur Eggs, Indiana Jones and the Philosopher's Stone. You obviously got there a lot before Harry Potter did, and Indiana Jones and the Dance of the Giants. As I say, they were published up until November 99. We then also got this, Indiana Jones and the Army of the Dead. This was published in 2009 to sort of tie in when Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out at the cinema, because this features Indy and Ray Winston's character from the movie. So it's sort of set just before that. That's written by Steve Perry, who also writes a lot of sort of film tie-in books and a lot of the Aliens, I think, and Predator books he's worked on. But that's a pretty good read, and I think obviously was the last, I think, Indiana Jones book that's been published, because they haven't announced that we're getting any books or novelisation yet for Dial of Destiny. Sometimes now, you always used to get the book, usually sometimes in advance of the film, which obviously gave away loads of spoilers. They tend now to release them sometime afterwards, but there don't seem to have been any announcements at all. So I don't know if we're actually getting any Dial of Destiny books at all, which would be a shame. So moving on to another few items in the collection. This is just a nice Raiders of the Lost Ark book that came out at the time of the film. One of those ones where you read along with the tape, and when Indy cracks his whip, you turn the page. So you've got lots of photographs from the film in here as well. I don't have a tape player. I mean, I say this is obviously like a 81 tape, so it's probably brittle. It will probably completely break if you try to play it. But yeah, it's just a nice little thing to have. And then an Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom annual. Now, annuals, I think, are quite a British thing. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, if you get them in other parts of the world. But yeah, when I was a kid, and you get annuals, they used to sort of produce them in time for Christmas to give to kids as Christmas. Or, films, TV shows used to get them. The sort of comics over here, the Dandy and the Beano, things like that, always would do an annual. Usually they were full of comic strips, puzzles, activities to do for kids, things like that. A lot of sort of film ones were basically like sort of reprints of the Marvel comics adaptations. Annuals are always sort of this sort of A4 size in hardcover. This one differs a bit in that it's basically just tells the story of the film with photographs. There's no actual sort of puzzles and games and things like that. Always love a good annual. I've got plenty of Star Wars ones. As I say, I'm pretty sure they're a sort of British thing, but yeah, if not, say correct me in the comments if I'm wrong there. But then also got this Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade storybook. Again, it's very similar to that sort of Temple of Doom one, just a sort of pared down version of the film, featuring a bunch of photographs. Interestingly, there's a photo of this tarantula crawling up Indy from towards the end of the film, which I don't recall happening in the movie. But again, that could be my old man memory playing tricks on me again. But yeah, so that's Indiana Jones and Last Crusade storybook. This is a sort of weird one. It's came out when Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out, and it basically is done as if it's Indy's diary. So say it's not like a storybook at all, but it's quite interesting. It basically goes through all 4 films and also features the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles as well. As I say, it's done as if it was Indy's actual diaries. It's got lots of sort of photographs and sketches of artifacts and clues sort of followed throughout the movies, which is quite nice. It's a shame they didn't quite go. Sometimes you get those books where you've got, like his rubbing of the Grail tablet would be a separate sort of piece of paper that folds out, and they actually have sort of plane tickets and things like that sort of stuck in as if they are actual memorabilia. That doesn't really have this. It does have this strange bit in the middle that looks as though that some pages have been ripped out, which I suppose is true. They do rip out the map, don't they, in Last Crusade? So maybe that's what they're going for there, which is quite a nice little touch. But yeah, it's quite it's quite an interesting book, and you can pick that up quite cheaply. It's quite a nice little thing to have. Now, this next one, you may be saying, what's this Star Wars book doing in the middle of this Indiana Jones book review, Chris? Well, the Star Wars Archives book, it also contains at the back of it all of the props and stuff from all of the Indiana Jones movies. And they've never done a separate book, so this one's well worth picking up for that reason. It's got photos of basically all the props from the first 3 films in the trilogy, pictures of the map paintings that were done, storyboards, models that were made and things like that. It's a really nice book. The props from the Star Wars trilogy are also absolutely fantastic to look at. And if you're a model maker, it's got great reference photos. But so that has got all of the Indiana Jones stuff in the back. So that's well worth picking up. This is a strange one. They didn't do like a making of, like a separate book for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. They did this photographic journal. It's a bit similar. I think they did one for Solo, the Star Wars prequel, where there was a making of book for that, but also there was this other book that sort of was just like loads of like on-set photography. I'm not quite sure why they picked certain films to do this with. So this is basically jammed full of photographs taken during the making of the movie, so loads of behind the scenes stuff. So as I said before, I know Kingdom of Crystal Skull isn't everyone's cup of tea, but if you're a fan of film production in general, it's got some great behind the scenes shots with Spielberg, George Lucas, Harrison Ford, everyone clowning around. And to be honest, to put in a collection, you can get this on eBay. I think I paid about £4 for it. You can get it dirt cheap. I think it's one of this, as I say, in Kingdom of Crystal Skull, not being a massively popular film, so you can generally pick up things like that. Absolutely dirt cheap. And finally, we've saved the best till last. The complete making of Indiana Jones. This covers all 4 films, written by J.W. Rinsler, who sadly passed away about 2 years ago. All of his making of film books are some of the best that you can get. So if you're only going to buy one Indiana Jones book, make it this one. It's absolutely chock-a-block with everything you would want to know about the making of the Indiana Jones films. If you've read Rinsler's other books, he did 3 books covering the original Star Wars trilogy. They are absolutely gorgeous as well. The majority of this book, obviously the main part is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Then obviously there's smaller sections on the other 3 movies. But I cannot recommend this one enough. If you're an Indiana Jones fan or just a movie fan in general, this one needs to be in your collection. Along with the Star Wars trilogy books that he did as well. And the Memories of Martha's Vineyard, the book all about the making of Jaws. If you've seen my previous video looking at all the books of Jaws, I would say all of these books are absolute must-haves for your movie book collection. So I hope you've enjoyed this video on the books of Indiana Jones. So I should have another video coming up for the next day or so, looking at all of the comic books and looking at the comic book history of Indy. And then we'll get around to a review of Dial of Destiny. So thanks for watching. Until next time, eat, geek, and be merry.